In this demonstration, Dr. Richard Bandler shows a hypnotic installation with profound effects upon self-esteem, health, and aging. As you watch and follow along, you may well notice positive changes in yourself.
Hello. So how you guys doing? So it's just the same old stuff, ho-hum. I guess it was about 10 years ago, I had a client, and she told me that she had low self-esteem. And I said, well, I said, where? And she said, well, you know, in my personality. And I said, where's that? And she goes, well, you know, she goes, every day I get up and I look in the mirror and I go, my nose is too big. She goes, if only my lips were bigger and my ears were smaller and my breasts were bigger, then I'd be happy. And then I said, well, how much is this going to cost you? And she said, well, I'm only going to spend about $100,000. And I stopped and I thought about it for a minute. And I never really thought about a knife as being a beauty object. Where I grew up, knives were made to make people uglier, not to make them prettier. And they weren't made to extend your lifespan, they were made to shorten your lifespan. Now, I know surgeons have done things to make people so they live longer, but they're highly skilled, and I really think that most of the time when people talk about who's pretty and who's not pretty, I don't always agree with them. When I was in high school, there was a girl named Giselle, and I went to a lot of high schools. I moved a lot, and so I was usually the new kid. And when I got to this school, I met this guy, and he goes, wait till you see Giselle. She's the prettiest girl in school. She was the homecoming queen. She's class president. Everybody loves Giselle. And I kept looking around the school, and I kept going, is that Giselle? And he goes, oh, no, Giselle's really pretty. And I go, is that Giselle? And he goes, no. He goes, Giselle is really beautiful. And all of a sudden, he looked up, and he went, that's Giselle. And I went, where? And he went, her. And I went, who? And he went, her. And I went, her? Because she just really, to me, didn't look that pretty till I met her. And she had one of the most vivacious personalities. She just radiated. And after a while, you just kind of went into this trance. And a week later, I was going, Giselle's the most pretty woman I've ever met. Because your perceptions are altered, you know, and not just your perceptions of other people, but your perceptions of yourself are very much influenced by how you feel. You know, if you feel like crap for 20 years, you're going to look like crap. That's just all there is to it. Now, I know I harp on this over and over again. I keep telling people feeling good is better than feeling bad. And, you know, my experience has proved, you know, I've worked with every kind of client you could think of. My depressives don't stay depressed. I tell too many jokes and I do too many weird things. One of the first depressives I had was a woman. She was about 70 years old. And she was also a professor at Stanford. And she came in and she spoke slower than I could tolerate. She came in and she went, hi, my name is Shirley. And I went, yes. She went, my psychiatrist recommended that I come to, and I went, yes. She went, you? And I said, yeah, but what do you want? And she said, I'm depressed. I said, you want to be depressed? And she went, no. She said, I've been depressed for 30 years. And I looked at her, and she looked depressed. She looked miserable. And I mean, it made me miserable just to look at her. I was thinking, you know, this is going to be really tedious and boring. And I thought, you know, I got to take a different approach to this. So I looked at her, and I said, surely you're depressed. And she started to giggle, and I said, surely you know how you're depressed. And she went, what? And she goes, I'm depressed because. I said, no, I don't want to know why. I'm not allowed to know why. I'm not Psycho the Rapist. You guys are the ones that write that on your door, not me, okay? I would never write Psycho the Rapist on my door. But, you know, you like to say Psycho therapist. I sort of like the sound of that, though. Psychotherapist. I'm a psychotherapist. But when I asked her, she'd been in therapy for years and years. She'd been psychoanalyzed. She'd beat up some furniture, Gestalt therapy. She had a black belt. She could beat up couches. But all of these things, nobody in all of these years, she had a file this thick. Nobody asked her how she knew she was depressed. Because I looked at her and I said, Shirley, maybe you're not depressed. And she went, oh, I'm depressed. And I said, well, maybe you're really happy. She went, no, I don't think so. And I said, well, how do you know you're depressed? And she said, well, I actually feel like I'm cased in cement. So I bopped her in the head. I went, boom, like this. And she went, like this. And she went, it's gone. And I went, cool. That was quick. And I said, but now that it's gone, that's not enough. I said, everybody, and every one of you here, and everybody I've ever worked with who has been depressed or had low self-esteem, I sort of like that. I always get a picture of steam coming out of the ears. People go, what do you do with low self-esteem? Psst. I release it and let it go into the other domain of with the rest of the nonsense. With, all of those Freudian concepts. I love the name sick man fraud, don't you? I just think that's such a great name for him. They go, sick man fraud has told us that your problems are based on because when you were young, you wanted to sleep with your mother. I don't know about you, but I didn't want to sleep with my mother. I didn't look at her and go, hey, Mom, what are you doing tonight? It was a bunch of nonsense, And, of course, women, it was all about penis envy, and they never even said which penis they envied. Some penises nobody envies, and some everybody goes, whoa, but that doesn't mean that's the cause of your problems. Quite the contrary, I would think. There aren't guys unzipping their pants and going, this is a problem, So, first time I went to France, and it's funny because all the guys act like they're throwing their penis over their shoulder and walking down the street. We are the greatest lovers in the world. And I'm going, right, then how come all the French girls are coming to America and England? They go, you are, whatever you said. I did a hypnosis workshop in New Jersey one time, and it was almost the most painful experience of my life. Trying to teach, because I was born in New Jersey, or as we like to call it, New Jersey. And when I went there and we did this workshop, and I told people they had to put each other into trance, they went, sit down and fucking relax, And as you sit there, I want you to just feel good. And all I could imagine was dental drills. But with Shirley, I thought for a moment, and I thought, what has Shirley lost? Because surely she was lost. Surely she didn't know what was going on. Shirley had forgotten how to be happy. And it's not that she never was. You just don't see babies sitting there going, shit. My feet are too small. I bet everybody here hates me. I hate my job. I'm in this carriage all day long, walking around. People sticking things at me, going, Gucci, Gucci, goo. Life sucks, man, Too many crickets, It's like just every day it's the same old stuff. People put socks on me and then they take them off. I shit in my underwear and they give me a clean pair and I have to do it all over again. God, life is boring. I just can't take it anymore. One of these days I'm just going to swallow this pacifier and it'll all be over. But surely that's not the case. The case is that everybody somewhere in their life knows how to experience joy. It starts out by playing peekaboo, I think. That's my theory of human behavior. Have you ever played peekaboo with a baby? Right? They're so easily amused. Later in life, I try it, and people look at me like I'm nuts. go. That's not sophisticated enough for me to have a good feeling. You'll have to do something intellectual. Right, we can all tell that by the humor people respond to. To me, one of the things I've discovered over the years is it is not by thinking about the complicated things in life. When I find people have low self-esteem and when they're worried about things and they're thinking, Jesus, you know, if I just spend $100,000 on myself, then I'll be happy. Well, let me tell you a secret beyond secret. I'm really expensive. And I've had really, really rich clients. And they're as screwed up, as if not more screwed up, than most normal people. How can you be miserable with $350 million in the bank? Answer, easily. And it's a shame, you know, because they're always telling me, well, everybody only likes me for my money. And I always look at them and go, well, that's probably the only good thing about you. And they always go, and I go, silly rabbit. Because the truth is as long as they are unhappy, well, probably that'll be the only reason people will like them. If you start out every day by thinking about what can go wrong, how miserable you can be, it not only resides in your body, it resides in your thoughts, it resides in your skin, and I think it ages you. I know that probably about 15 years ago, I was about 10 years older than I am now. That one of the things that happened is there was a point in my life where I just simply went, it's not that important. That what's important is really how good I feel. I stopped working as much as I was. I sold 3 companies. I gave one away because I didn't like it. And I started focusing on what seemed more important to me. Because I have a family. I have a very complicated family because I have a daughter. And she's very serious about everything. And she discovered the way to control me was to go like that. And I used to just go nuts. I would go, what? And she would go, you know. And I'd go, me know what? Me know. And she goes, what you did last night, you embarrassed me for the rest of my life. And I go, you mean at the opera last night? Because Richard's, by the way, a little clumsy. I don't always pay attention to things. And I used to be a patron of the arts in San Francisco when I lived there and support a lot of things. And they came up to interview me at the top of the steps at the Opera House during the interlude. And I put my hand on the balcony and somebody had cleaned it. And so I kind of slipped down the stairs on live television. And my daughter was at home. And all I could think about when I fell down the stairs was my daughter watching TV going, she goes, you did this on purpose. You just did that to embarrass me. And when you stood up in that tuxedo with dirt all over it and started going like that and clouds came off of you, all you were thinking about was me having to go to school. And she was right. That was what I was thinking about. Now, Shirley, when I looked at her, I thought, you know, I said, yeah, she's 70 years old, but she looks like she's 150. She just looked stressed out. She had marbles in her cheeks. She was like looking at me, and I said, well, now that the shell has come off, Shirley, I said, you just seem a little tense. And she looked at me and she goes, no, I'm relaxed. And I said, you don't sound relaxed. She goes, this is as relaxed as I get. And then I stopped and I thought back of all the times and places where I had put people in trance and age regressed them. Because one of the amazing things about age regression is the spontaneous results that you get. Now, I've used age regression for a number of things, which, you know, because I'm funny. A lot of these hypnotic techniques, I don't really use like everybody else does. For example, I use time distortion to get people to quit smoking. And I realize that's kind of a weird way to go about it, but I just thought I'd try it for the hell of it. I made it so that when people lit a cigarette, picked it up, it took 2 hours to get to their mouth. Even though it was only a few seconds, it seemed like 2 hours. It takes the fun out of smoking. Now, I also tried giving people amnesia for having ever smoked. And I got in serious trouble for that. I just thought if you didn't know you were a smoker, it wouldn't be a problem. So I put this guy in trance, and I zoned him out, and I made it so when he lifted his finger up, his unconscious could answer yes. And I said, now, if your unconscious will blank out any knowledge of having ever smoked, then for the next 6 months, you won't smoke any cigarettes, and you'll never think about it. If you see other people smoke, you'll wonder why they do. It's such a silly habit, and just forget about it and not worry about it. And about a week later, I got a call from his wife, and she was livid. She goes, what did you do to my husband? And I said, well, he wanted to quit smoking because he had emphysema. So I tried to help him to quit. Didn't he quit? And she goes, yes, he quit, but he's a liar. He says he never smoked. And I said, well, I'm just trying to get him to go into a mindset. I told him to pretend. Just go along with him. And she goes, I will not. I even showed him pictures of him with a cigarette, and he said there was no cigarette there. He's in denial. And I said, he went to Egypt? She was a psychologist, by the way. And she goes, it isn't going to help him to deny reality. And I said, well, really, he doesn't see cigarettes and he doesn't want them. Isn't that a good thing? And she goes, no, because his memories aren't real. Ooh. Well, I'm here to tell you, none of your memories are real. Even though stuff really happened, your memories are memories. They're real memories, but they're not real events. And to say that you're really the kind of person who has to keep stress in your body, who has to be tense, who has to worry about everything to the point where it doesn't make you as relaxed as you can be, is really quite silly. Wouldn't you agree? Not out loud, but you will agree. If not now, you will in the next 50 minutes. Let me ask you a question. Ma'am, you're in the middle row of 5 rows back. Would you mind coming down here? Thank you very much. Let's see, who else looks a little tense here? Do any of you feel like when you look in the mirror, like you'd just like to have a different person there? I agree with you. I always love saying that. That's always fun. What's your name, ma'am? Gwen? Okay, Gwen, would you come down here? I'll mic you up here. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. So it's Gwen and?
Inga.
Inga?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that an English name?
No, that's Danish.
Danish. How long you been here?
9 months.
9 months?
Yeah.
Random number. And how long have you been here?
All my life.
All your life. Now, one of the things that I discovered inadvertently was when I did hypnosis seminars and I did lots of age regression, inadvertently I discovered that it made people look better. So when I started doing something called Design Human Engineering, the very first Design Human Engineering course, I thought, well, one of the things we should do is to design a way for people to start getting younger, looking younger, feeling younger, being more vibrant. It just seemed like a good idea. That I was tired over the years of having to just get rid of phobias and talk about depression and stuff. And when I had this woman, I said, surely what you want is to become more vibrant with whatever time you have on this planet, because we don't get to know whether it's, people say, well, I probably have 20 years left. Well, the probably part is you might get hit by a bus. And I remember when I was in college, there was a burrito stand at the end of the street. I lived in a kind of a Mexican neighborhood for a while. And I got up in the morning and I was reading the newspaper, and there was an article that somebody had gone in the burrito stand, bought a burrito, was hit by a car, and they said the burrito flew 52 feet. That's all they said about this guy. His whole life, and all they talked about was his burrito. And I thought, Jesus, I better do something important fast, because if all they could talk about you is how far your burrito flew, I better get on with it. That it seems to me that it's very important that you find ways to become more vital. I wanted Shirley to become more vital in her life. And in order to do that, I had to be able to take the same techniques I had used with people and to be able to understand how it is possible that the following transpires. One cell actually even only starts out as 2 parts of a cell, get together, and there's all the instructions about how to make a whole human being. Now, at some point, those instructions make your skin younger, that make you more vibrant, make you healthier. And then they say after a period of time, it's not sending off those signals. So your metabolism may slow down a little bit. You don't have much energy. They tried to do this hypnotic induction on me. They told me, they said, well, you're getting older, so you have to slow down. And I went, really? Really? I have to slow down? I have to slow down now? And they said, well, yes, because, once you turn 50, well, actually, first it was 40. They said when you turn 40, suddenly everything starts falling apart. And I went, really? And I said, on you? And he went, what? And so I kicked him. And he went, huh? And I said, see, you feel like you're falling apart now. Because the post-hypnotic suggestions that we get, and believe me, in your life, you've gotten many of them. Many of you were told you weren't artistic, you're not creative, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not vibrant enough, yada, yada, yada. And if you believe these things and live that way, it's foolish, because you can cancel those post-hypnotic suggestions in the blink of an eye. You change your mind all the time. Something happens and suddenly you build new beliefs. For example, Shirley, in her life, what had happened is she had a husband. And one day he went to work and came home and he said, I'm leaving you. I'm in love with my secretary. And I'm sorry, but you're just an old bitch and a hag and I hate you and you're a piece of crap. And he left and she was miserable. Now, when she went to a psychiatrist, the psychiatrist said, well, he was in a midlife crisis, but how pretty was his secretary? And she went, well, she was young and really pretty, and anyway, he ran off with the secretary, and she stayed home and was miserable for years and years. Instead of thinking, well, I picked a guy that lasted for 15 years, and that's without really trying. If I was a little more selective, I could find one with a longer shelf life. Some people can't seem to even have lunch with the same person. And she managed to spend 15 years with a guy. I don't think that's something for self-criticism. I think that's just something, well, I bought a can of peaches once and it went bad. The can swole up and they said it had a botulism in it. So sometimes things just don't last. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I wasn't like a bad peach selector. I was just bought a can of peaches and it went bad. I don't think it's the foundation on which she should have created depression and stress. But with the help of caring friends that went, you must feel terrible. She went, yeah. And they went, well, you're too old now to be happy. That's a bad idea. And it seems to me that ideas like that need to disappear. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you something, okay? I'm going to ask you to just close your eyes and sleep and go deep inside and let yourself begin to drift back in your mind and just soften. Soften the top of your head, soften your forehead, soften your cheeks, and just take a deep breath in through your mouth. Slowly let it out through your nose and begin to drift back in time. That's right, sleep. There you go. Go all the way down and just let go. Take these little knots you have here and just go soften. Bzzz, and just let them go. Because all the stress and all the worry that it took years to build up is only in those years. And the more years it's there, the more years it can disappear into. Because what I want you to do is go back in your mind. And it's very important, because I'm not a psychologist, that you don't go back and find crappy little memories. Because crappy little memories are just little memories disappearing. Go back and find some happy birthdays, some happy holidays, and move back 1 year at a time with honest, unconscious thought. And while you do, I want your unconscious to begin to make adjustments, to open up the capillaries under your skin, to begin to let a little oxygen soak in, to begin to drift down in time all the way back to when you was only 5. Because when you was 5, your skin was younger, your heart was stronger, your belief in the future was more wide open. And back inside you, everything you ever saw, everything you ever did, everything that generated from your cells and told your body how to metabolize is still there. It's just locked away inside of something that you can open up. So if you let your face soften, if you let your mind go back, and just relax inside this deep and deepening trance, what you're going to do now is to let yourself really float back. And float back in such a way that what you do allows you to begin to relearn what you knew back then, now. So that as you feel yourself getting younger, I want you to think about those memories and see what you saw when you were there, hear what you heard, and let your lower lip fill with blood. Just like when you were younger. Young people have puffier lips because they have more good feelings. And those good feelings are still there. They're the foundation which will help you to feel younger and to take those good feelings and let them seep inside you. Right here. Take a deep breath now. And let yourself float inside and feel a little tingling in your toes. Kids are always wiggling their toes. There's a reason for that, because they're paying attention to the surface of their skin. And as you wiggle your toes inside your shoes, give them a good wiggle. Come on, wiggle them more than that. There you go. A little wiggle here, a little wiggle there, begins to seep up the outside of the skin so that you can tingle from the outside in. Because what you're doing now is going back and recapturing something that's so important. Because when you were young, all the feelings you had back there manifested it. It told your skin how to be. It told your smile how to be. It told your eyes how to be. And the better you felt, the more oxygen was spread. It was spread in your hands and in your feet and on your chest and in your back and in your front and all over your face and your chin and your cheeks and your eyes. In fact, if you take a deep breath in through your nose, so your nose flares. That's right there, right on the nostrils. That's right, flare those and feel it come inside and revitalize yourself. Now, for a moment, I want you to just keep going back in time, taking one feeling from your youth and spinning it round and round. Let it spin inside you and let it go down to your toes and up to your nose, from the back of your head to the front, from the left ear to the right. And right now is a good time to do it. And when I'm talking to the audience, you may listen or not, but keep finding one feeling, two feelings, three feelings, and keep layering them top of each other so that the younger you get, the better you feel, and the more alive your skin will become. Because the more life you breathe into your skin, the more you open the pores, the younger you'll feel, the younger you'll look. And those good feelings that were there, the ones with the smile attached to them, you remember how to smile. That's right, because it's the smiling that makes you look younger, feel younger, and be healthier. They discovered years ago, Norman Cousin discovered the healing power of laughter and play. I used to be a speaker on the Laughter and Play tour, and between each of us speakers, they had a comedian, except for me. I guess I took care of that. But there was one guy on that tour, Norman Cousins, who had written the book. And I have to say that he watched Laurel and Hardy movies and cured himself of something which is incurable called ankylosing spondylitis. It's where the joints freeze. And he managed to laugh so hard that he loosened up his joints and got movement back. That was a powerful experience for him. Now, they've tried, doctors try to do this, but they're not really the most humorous people, except to me, I think, because they say such funny things. When I was in the emergency ward about 10 years ago, my wife had a bad reaction to some medication, and I brought her in, and there was a woman in the next room, and I could hear her talking to the doctor through the drape. And the doctor said, well, what happened? And she said, well, I fell down in the street. And he goes, why? And she goes, well, maybe I was nervous. And he said to her, I gave you anti-anxiety pills. I told you to take those pills, go outside, and hit the streets and have some fun. And I thought, she did exactly what he said. Now, insofar as people do exactly what you say, I think it's so important for you to remember to smile, because it's through your smiling that you're going to creep back in time to when you was just a little girl. Because little girls have a better feeling about life. They don't know what to worry about. They don't think about rejection. They just think about people doing things like calling them princess. They think about it when somebody walks up and goes, hey, little princess, and touches you, you feel younger. You feel better. And when you had those things and when people give you presents and you got to open them, the fun was opening them. Sometimes when you opened them, you went, yee. But before you opened them, the anticipation was wonderful. Before all the little imperfections of life got magnified beyond the delight that you could have for no reason. But to see inside of you, the same 5-year-old attitude still exists. You could forget the worries, forget the stress, and just smile. That's right. You could smile better than that. There you go. Hold that now, spin it. Because the more you spin it around, the more you can take that feeling and you can put it up here. You can put it there, you can put it here, put it there. You can spread it all over the place. You can take that smile right here. There you go. That's right. And put it up here and put it there, put it there, put it here, put it all over the place. You would be surprised. It tightens things up, opens your pores, begins to put new energy and reorients your whole orientation. That's right. You can smile more than that. Did I tell you to stop? No. But if you start to worry, then you'll forget what it was that's not important. That's right. There you go. There you go. That's right. A little bit more. That's right. I know it's a strain, but you can do it. Because the more you keep smiling, the more you think happy thoughts, the more happy thoughts. Even in Peter Pan. How did Peter Pan fly? With a happy thought. And with a happy thought, you can fly back and recapture that good feeling you had. The feeling that everything is going to be wonderful. Because the more you feel wonderful, the more you'll look wonderful. The more it'll smooth your face out, the more it'll fill with color, the better off you'll be. Because as people told you, oh, well, you're too old for that. They don't tell me that anymore, not with that ducking. Because the truth is the more I stopped worrying, the more I stopped fretting, the more I stopped dwelling upon what's not important and kept smiling and smiling and smiling and smiling, the more I found solutions that no one else found. In fact, as soon as doctors say to me, well, he's a schizophrenia, he's a genetic, and I said genetic, so he's got a crazy gene. And they go, well, we wouldn't call it that. And I go, I like to call it that, because if you're crazy in the genes, it means you're going to have fun. And psychiatrists don't like that. They go, what would sick man Fraud say? And I go, sick man Fraud, this is a guy that was a total pervert as far as I can tell. Everything was related to sex. Well, to me, everything is related to life. And life is beaming from the inside out. Now, in a moment, I'm going to reach over and I'm going to touch one of you. And when I do, something magical is about to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to have a welling up feeling. The feeling you have now, that little smile, is going to take over your entire body. You're going to radiate like the sun. And it's just going to keep going and going and going and going. It's going to fill your lips with blood. It's going to fill your skin with blood. You're just going to go wild. That's right. Double it again, double it again, double it again, and keep doubling it and keep spinning it inside. Because from the state that you're in now to consciousness, this is only going to keep multiplying. Such that when you see yourself, when you look from this chair and see yourself the first time, you're going to be surprised how good you look. Because it's through joy that you find real changes in your own self. It's not through worrying, it's not through looking at the little flaws in yourself, but it's by looking at the overall person you are and seeing and feeling beautiful. If you think about yourself as beautiful, it seeps in every cell. It touches your face all over. It makes it so you radiate. It's a totally magical phenomenon. And that magic is inside you now. That's right. Here it comes. There you go. You got to remember to smile, 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 smile. That's right. Because if you go inside, that's glow inside. And glow, because before you're ready to glow up to your magic age, because the future can be bright, the future can be wonderful. If the first time you see yourself in the mirror, suddenly you realize you're prettier than you were 15 minutes ago. It means 30 minutes from now, you're going to be even more beautiful. And not only you're going to look happier, and you're going to look younger because you're so relaxed and you're smiling so much. That's right. Then what's going to happen is you're going to gasp, and it's going to double and double every moment. Now, while you guys take a few moments and just cook with beauty inside, let it come. I'm going to talk to the audience for a minute, and while I am, keep doubling the smile and doubling it and doubling it and doubling it till it begins to radiate. Feel your fingertips tingle, your toes tingle. Let it spread up and down your body. We have no time to waste. We have places to go and people to be. I noticed when I did hypnosis with people, the more relaxed they got, the better they looked. They weren't like this. Now, I remember, because at the start of every seminar, it's the same old thing. I have people come in, they all look tense, and the more we do things, the more people do trance work, the more people do things where they get rid of the little worries and the little fears, suddenly they all start looking better. Usually by the third or fourth day, I'm looking out going, who are these people? Where were they? Because it doesn't take that much for people to really change profoundly. If all the things that made you feel bad in your life were to disappear, just like that, if all the bad things just flew off into the distance and the good things all came closer, memories when you were 5, memories when you were 3, 10, 11, memories where you skip between the bad things and capture up all the good feelings and put them in one great big smile. And you just let that smile beam and beam and beam. The more you smile, the younger you're going to feel, the better you're going to look. Now, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to come out of this trance. And when you do, all I want you to do is I'm going to take you and I'm suddenly going to turn you around. And I want you to look at something. And when you do, I want it to be, because with each count, I'm going to count to 3. And when I touch you, you'll listen. Otherwise, you'll wait. And when I'm touching you and I count to 3 with each count, I want you to feel happier and happier, kind of an unexplainable sense of well-being. And when that happens, you're going to suddenly look, and I want you to be amazed. Because in a matter of minutes, if you can get a little bit prettier, imagine what you could do with the entire rest of your life just because you smile. And smile, and smile, and 1, and a 2, and 2.5, and 2 3/4, and 3. Who is that person?
Could be me.
Probably you. It is you. Sleep. Now, go inside and take that good feeling and start to multiply it. That's right. That's right. Just wait your turn here, dear. You don't want to come too soon. Because if you do, you'll just have to do it over and over again. You ready? Here we go. 1. That's right. 2. And 3. Open your eyes. Lean your head forward. Take a look. You like that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then sleep. Right, because I want you to multiply it and to realize for the rest of your life, this is only something that you can do in a blink of an eye. Because if when you blink your eye, suddenly you get a good feeling for no reason, then suddenly when you have a reason, you're going to beam even that much more. Now in a moment, I'm going to bring you out of this trance, and when I do, I want to tell you something that's important. The very first time that I did this, I picked people out of the audience, not because they were ugly, but because they looked like they were a little stressed out. And one of the women was much worse than either of you were at all, times 1,000. She looked terrible, and I thought she'd be a good one. And I brought her up, and I set her down. And when she came out, she looked a lot better, but it was okay. A year later, she walked up to me in Los Angeles and she goes, "Do you remember me?" And I looked at her and I went, "No." She goes, "You used me as a demo subject." And I went, "Really?" Because I always remember people when I work with them, but she didn't look familiar at all. And she said, "You know, you did age regression with me so I'd look prettier, but I didn't tell you I had terminal skin cancer." And I said, "No, you didn't mention that." And she said, "Well, I went home and every day I age regressed myself, just like you told me to." And I said, "I never said that. And I never said anything about cancer." I said, "I'm not supposed to. It's against the rules." And she said, "Well," she goes, "I cured myself of cancer." And I said, "Well, obviously, if you don't have it anymore." And she said, "Well, my doctor told me I only had 6 months to live." And I said, "Well, obviously he was wrong. It's been a year." I said, "But when does the 6 months start?" He didn't say that. "If it doesn't start till you're 97, you got a lot of time left." And she goes, "Well, I didn't think about that." And I said, "Well, don't think about dying. Think about living. Because no matter how long you live, if you don't live vibrantly, you miss out on everything. The question is, and I put this to you both now, how much pleasure can you stand?" Is that it? Come on. There we go. Now, I'm going to count to 3, and I want you to keep this feeling. In fact, I want you to multiply it and go, how much pleasure can I stand? I've never really pushed that to the limits. Now would be a good time. 1, 2, 3. Look at the look in her eye. Yow. That's right. Open your eyes, dear. That's right. It's a good question. Oh, and I put it to all of you. How much pleasure can you stand? Because if you don't know the answer to that question, you're missing out on something really important. Most of us know how much pain we can deal with. In fact, we can deal with more pain than you would imagine. But the thing is if something bad happens, the best thing about it is that it's in the past. The best thing about the past is that it's over. And the best thing about the future is it's yet to come. Just a thought. Thank you very much, girls. Look at them. Now I ask you, do you want to look more like this or more like this? Thank you. Look at that. I hope what you get from this is, because when Barbara Stepp is also now an NLP trainer, the woman that I did this with is now a trainer in Chicago. She not only changed herself, she now changes lots of other people. And she told me last year, after her 60th birthday, or something, I don't know how old she really is, but that's what she said. You know, I always figure when a woman tells me how old she is, I usually multiply times 2 and then subtract 50. Because I don't think it matters what number you are. I think it matters how you feel and how you act. That, you know, that I was much more stressed out at 12 than I am now. When I came in to teach the seminar the other day, somebody said to me at the door, they said, "You're not very nervous." And I thought, why should I be nervous? And I think if they had gone up in front of the stage, in front of 1,000 people, maybe they would have been nervous. But I do know what I'm doing. And I want you to know the same kinds of things. When you look at people, if you don't fill their life with joy and give them hope, if they think they're going to be happier because they have $1 million, if you can't enjoy $10, how are you going to enjoy $1 million? If you can't enjoy the beauty you have now and maximize it, all the plastic surgery in the world isn't going to make it so you're more lovable. What makes you more lovable is starting with yourself, looking in the mirror, putting James Bond's voice in the mirror and going, "You're beautiful." That's free. Don't cost you anything. Costs you the price of a mirror. And if you start there and find out how much you can glow from the inside, how good you can make yourself feel, how relaxed you can be, how strong you can be, and the more the world presents you hard things, the better you'll be equipped to deal with them. Yes, it's true. Some of you will have boyfriends and girlfriends and husbands of wives that turns out that it doesn't work out. But If you sit around and brood about it for 10 years, the odds of finding somebody better are severely reduced. What I say is, for every relationship that doesn't work out, probably there's another one that will work out better, but not if you're brooding. Once you glow from the inside and glisten up, and in fact, those of you who are in relationships who want them to last, the best place to start is now, not when somebody's complaining. When you look at the person you love, it should make you shine. You should feel like one of the lucky ones. I don't know why I was lucky enough to find my wife. Well, probably I didn't. She probably found me. She was in charge of almost everything. But for 35 years, we didn't fight. We didn't argue. We enjoyed each other. And we painted together. We traveled together. We did everything together. And I had friends that would come up to me and they go, "How's the old ball and chain doing?" And I'm afraid it didn't bring up the same image for me. I was thinking of the one in the closet I was about to whack them in the head with. Because I didn't feel chained. I felt very, very lucky. And I know those of you who are in relationships should feel lucky every moment. And when you see them, you should be more in love than you've ever been. When you talk to them on the phone. In fact, when they ask you, "What did you do in that seminar?" Go, "I don't remember. I was too busy thinking about you." And guys, when your wife asks you something like they go, "Do you like this lipstick?" Say yes. All right? Don't analyze it. Just respond. You know, if you go, "She's just trying to get a compliment," well, then just give her one. It's not so hard, you know? Because every once in a while there'll be something you want, and if you don't, you won't get it. And you won't deserve it either. The truth is, people make life too complicated. It's not so complicated. Life is really pretty simple and straightforward. Do the things that work and do them more often. And if you say something to your wife and she looks at you like you're the scum of the earth, don't say it again. It's really not that tough. If you do something and she looks at you and goes, "Ah!" don't do it again, because if you do it again, you're going to get the same response. Remember, in communication, the truth is the response you get is the one you get. And if you don't like the one you get, don't do that no more. Try something else. Try using better tonality. People respond to good tonality. When my kids would come in and they would say to me, they'd go, "Dad, we're really angry." And I'd go, "Oh, that's really terrible. So you feel really mad?" And they go, "Well, kind of." And I'd go, "How angry could you be?" They go, "Well, pretty angry." And I go, "Do you want a sandwich?" And they go, "I'm not hungry." And I go, "How about some ice cream?" And they go, "Well, maybe not ice cream." And I go, "How about a house or a car?" Well, they're older now, you know. I can't get by with ice cream anymore. The truth is now that I have grandchildren, what fun that is. I can't tell you how much I like that. I'm not responsible anymore. I can spoil them wildly. And whatever, because my grandson came to visit this summer, and he was there, and my son snapped at him for some reason. I don't know, he did something bad or something, and he went, I told you not to do that. And I went, "Shut up, son." And he went, "Ugh." And I went, "If you say that again to my grandson, I'm going to turn you over my knee and spank you." And my grandson, who's 3, went, "Whoa!" Later on, my grandson came up to me and he calls me Bop, and he goes, "A Bop?" And I said, "Yes." By the way, that's the Punjabi word for grandfather. I didn't know that. I guess my grandson was studying Punjabi when he was young. But he goes, "A Bop?" And I went, "Yes, a grandson." And he goes, "My dad won't give me a popsicle." And I went, "Ooh." And he goes, "Make him." See, the thing about children is they notice what works and they repeat it. When we get older and smarter, sometimes we forget the simple rule. If you do something and you like the way it works, do it more intensely next time. It's just a thought. Keep it in mind for the rest of your life. Thank you very much.
First, when he called me down. I didn't know it was me, so I went down, and you know, it feels a little awkward to be exposed for so many people. I don't do that every day, but so many people have been there and relaxed, so I say, okay, I can do it too. And then I felt a little bit embarrassed that he chose me. I say, oh, what's wrong with me? Yeah, I did actually, but I relaxed very well, and I like very, very much that he told me that think back until you are 5 years old, because it's an age where nobody actually criticize yourself. So, and it was easy to go back to 5 years old, but it was not that easy to go down in deep trance, not in that situation, not in that chair. So, but I felt actually as more Richard, he talked and talked, that I relaxed more and more, and I felt that, find that inner smile.
I feel more confident about my beauty, more naturally confident so. The colour of, I know it's a strange thing to say, but the colour of my skin feels a younger colour, like less grey, and I feel my face is more relaxed, so I don't feel that I'm frowning and have lines on my forehead, which is nice. I was worried about those before.
Actually, I feel an inner warmth, yeah, that's for sure. And I feel that my eyes are shining more, and I'll not say I feel more relaxed, because not yet, but I think it will come.